Alrighty, so two conference semifinal is now in the books, and we got two more conference semifinal coming up tomorrow to pretty much wrap up the conference semifinal for this year and find out who is going to be the two other team to make up the Eastern and Western Conference final matchup that we're going to get this season. So we start off with the first one, which is Montreal versus NYCFC, and this is going to be the day game, and it's not really quite a day kind of night doubleheader, but it kind of is with the way that ESPN, of course, will have both of these games, and I forgot to mention both of these games is on ESPN, but you kind of had a sense that of course is the case because FS1 they of course broadcast their game on Thursday, so it's only fair that ESPN gets their chances to broadcast this game. But we start off with this game 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, but the actual kickoff is 1:18 p.m. local time. Now in terms of the all-time meeting between both of these teams, NYCFC has really dominated this series 9-5 and 2 over Montreal. But in terms of the top goal scored so far for Montreal, Romel Kyoto leads the team with 15 goals, followed by Kai Kamara with 9 goals, Georgi Mihailovic with 9 goals, Zachary Brogiots with 4 goals, and Alistair Johnston with 4 goals. For NYCFC, you got Aber with 8 goals, Gabriel Pereira with 8 goals, Talas Magno with 7 goals, Alexander Callens with 5 goals, and Thiago Andrade with 5 goals. And you notice no Tati Castellanos on the board here because I don't count players that is no longer playing for the team, even though technically Tati Castellanos is still kind of part of NYCFC. I mean, he's on loan right now, and that NYCFC still has his rights. But like I said, if he continues to do well with his new team, there is going to be a case where he's probably going to be sold off for big amount of money. Now, top assist leader for Montreal, it's Kai Kamara with 7 assists, followed by Lasse Lampinen with 7 assists, and that goes same with Joaquin Torres. And then you got Georgi Mihailovic with only 6 assists this season, which that is a big surprise because last season I think he had double-digit goals and double-digit assists, and this season that doesn't seem like it's the case. Now, granted, yes, he was kind of injured for a bit, and he kind of didn't really had as an incredible start as what we saw in the first half of the season, but still, it was kind of a little bit surprising the fact that he didn't hit double-digit assists, considering he's literally the playmaker for this Montreal team. And then you got Romel Kyoto with 6 assists. For NYCFC, you got Santi Rodriguez with 13 assists, followed by Talas Magno with 10 assists, Maxi Morales with 9 assists, Gabriel Pereira with 4 assists, and then Keaton Parks rounds up the top 5 with 3 assists. Now, last 5 head-to-head matchup between both of these teams. Again, it's been mostly dominated this series for NYCFC. In fact, they haven't lost to Montreal this season. They got a 0-0 draw last time. This game was at Stade Saputo. Then they won 4-1 at home against Montreal. Then they won 1-0 at home against Montreal before Montreal did get a 2-1 win against NYCFC. But NYCFC also won 3-1 against Montreal. But again, this is a matchup that's going to be interesting to see in a way where, again, for Montreal in the last game against Orlando, it wasn't really that convincing and they didn't really play at their best. But that's kind of been the case, at least in the latter part of the season. And it's also with the way that, in the playoffs, it really doesn't matter how you play. You can play ugly or you can play beautiful soccer. If you're able to move on to the next round, that's all it matters. But at least for NYCFC, I mean, they absolutely throttled Inter Miami in that game, especially in the second half of that one. But now they have to play against a tough opponent like Montreal. It's going to be interesting to see what they are able to overcome. And especially, again, this is a team that, they've been in this situation before. They've been in the situation where they have to go on the road and have to face against a relatively tough team. And in this case, for Montreal, this is not going to be an easy team for them to beat. But it's definitely a team that, if the quality of that attack that we saw in the last game will be featured in this one, there's a chance that they can, of course, able to get a win. But we'll see whether or not if that is the case in this game. Now, moving on in the next match, we got Austin FC versus FC Dallas, also known as Copa Tijas, and a matchup between two teams that are the last 2 Copa Tijas winner. And it feels like this is always the game that basically decide who, of course, win Copa Tijas, and it means really a lot for both of these fan base. But now this is really the first time we see it happen in the playoffs. And I know, the Texas Derby. If you talk about it, a lot of people will say Dallas and Houston will definitely be the rival because they're kind of like the main rivalry in the Texas Derby and in El Capitan. But Austin FC, they're starting to try to force them in the conversation. And again, the last two Copa TS has really been decided between Austin and FC Dallas when they face head to head. So not to say that Houston could potentially be a third wheeler, but if this rivalry does start to get intense, then yeah, there could be a case that the Dynamo might be left as the third wheeler, and especially out of all the Texas teams that have done well this season, it's only Houston that has not had a good season, because the two other Texas teams that are head and shoulder above what Houston has delivered this year. But this game will start at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, but the actual kickoff is 7:18 p.m. local time. Now, in terms of the all-time meeting, despite the fact that Austin, they did win the Copa Tejas this season, they didn't beat Dallas this year. They did drew them twice this season. With Dallas, of course, getting the 3 wins against Austin FC, and in other words, Austin are still looking for their first victory against FC Dallas in this one. Now, the top goal scored in this season, you got Sebastian Driussi with 22 goals, and this is excluding playoff goals that these players scored, because I know Driussi scored at least a goal in the game against RS. I think he scored both of the goals that was part of that 2-2 draw that was decided in a PK shootout. They got Maxi Urruti with 9 goals, Diego Fagundes with 6 goals, Ethan Finley with 5 goals, and Musa Gite with 4 goals. For FC Dallas, Jesus Ferreira leads the team with 18 goals, followed by Ariola with 10 goals. Then you got Alan Velasco with 6 goals, Franco Hara with 3 goals, and Hunter Orbrian with 2 goals to round up the top 5. Now, top assist leader, Diego Fagundes, one of the top assist leader in MLS with 15 assists, followed by Sebastian Driussi with 7 assists. They got Alex Rain with 7 assists, Ethan Finley with 6 assists, and even Nate Lima gets on the top 5 with 5 assists. For Dallas, Paul Ariola leads the team with 7 assists, followed by Alan Velasco, also with 7 assists. They got Jesus Ferreira with 6 assists, Sebastian Leggett with 5 assists, and Paxton Palmico rounds up the top 5 with 5 assists. Now, oh, excuse me there. In terms of the last 5 head-to-head matchup, it was a 1-1 draw between both of these teams before it was a 2-2 draw. But prior to that, Dallas was able to win 2-1 against Austin FC. That pretty much decided the inaugural Copa Tias match between both of these teams. Oh, excuse me again. I'm starting to get maybe some allergy feeling. But after that, Dallas did win 5-3 against Austin in that crazy Copa Tias game that I remember last year, that when this matchup was played for the first time at Q2 Stadium. And then Dallas, of course, won 2-0 against Austin FC. And obviously, the big talking point coming into this game is obviously the Austin front three versus the FC Dallas front three. When you look at both of these front three for Austin, with the likes of Driussi and Fagundes up front, and maybe you could even add GT in terms of that spot, even though I don't think you maybe need to include him into the start. So it's more kind of like a dynamic duo, I would say, for Austin, because GT is kind of more coming off the bench. But Driussi, Fagundes, they have definitely been the dangerous man for Austin in this year. But for FC Dallas, the front three with Ferreira, Ariola, and Velasco has been a huge contributor in the attack. And although in the last game that was not the case in the game against Minnesota, because they were really shut down in this one, and really the only guy that kind of contribute and kind of is the reason why they're in this is Alan Velasco with that cold-blooded Panenka to get the win in the PK shootout. And also, speaking of PK shootout, both of these teams are coming off PK shootouts. So yeah, with the way that both of these teams have played 120 minutes throughout coming into this match, fatigue could maybe be an issue in this one. I mean, I know it's been a week since both of these teams has been played, but when you play 120 minutes and you play such a physical game like both of these teams have played, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see which team might be tired out coming into this one, and especially with all the emotion that they had in the last game. We'll see which team maybe will take advantage of the momentum, or which team maybe will have that momentum snatched away, and maybe they suffer a bit of a hangover. But either way, expect this could be a game where we could see a lot of goals. And again, we talk about El Tráfico being crazy. There could be a case that this could be the same case because again, we know Austin, they love to play an open game. It doesn't matter which opponent they face, they love to play an open game, and you know that when you see them play an open game, there's going to be goals that is going to score. So if you want to see a game that will feature a lot of goals, this one maybe, but definitely this one. I think this one will definitely feature the goals, and I also won't be surprised if this one could even go to extra time, which is kind of the last thing both of these teams want, because they do not want another playoff game where they have to go the distance and play another 120 minutes to the conference final. Though if you're at LAFC, I'm pretty sure they're rooting for that to be the case, because again, if both of these teams play another 120 minutes, they already played 240 minutes heading into the conference final. And I know these playoff games are kind of split between a week apart, but already knowing the fact that a lot of these players are featuring a lot of tired legs because it's the end of a long season. But now you of course have played that many minutes heading into the playoffs, and then you go to the conference final with kind of heavy legs. Yeah, that's certainly both of these teams are looking to try to win this in regulation instead of going to extra time or even go all the way to a PK shootout. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for my preview of both of these games. Let me know in the comments below what do you think of both of these games. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.